Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Hi-ho and bright suns, folks. Welcome back to T Plus Us, the show about all things Disney. I'm one of your hosts, Griff Tanel, Griff D. Patton. With me, as always, is the wonderful, the amazing Mr. Mitch George. How are you doing tonight?
Star Wars.
I really wish that came over Discord, but it did not. The sound did not.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. That's right, folks. We're talking about Bad Batch, and it's Star Wars, so we had to bring our Star Wars boy back. Nick, welcome back to the show. Oh, it's so good. It's so great. We're back, folks. We're back.
The Star Wars. You've seen Nick's craziness before. You're in for a ride.
Oh, the Star Wars insanity is back, folks. Oh, strap in, because this is going to be one hell of an episode. We are talking about Bad Batch Season 2. Before we get too off the rails, and I'm just going to let Nick go.
We're not already there?
I gotta give y'all the rigmarole first. First off, thank you very much for listening. If you enjoy the show, please rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever. Hey, you listen to the podcast version, go check us out on YouTube, where you can really, truly see our insanity. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Like, come hang out with us, have a good time there, throw us a bone. Videos are a big push for the year, like I've said this a million times. Links in the description. Nick, how are you doing? It's been a little bit since we've had you on the show.
You remember when this thing looked like it said bad bitch?
Oh, man, yeah. They really marketed that the way they did, didn't they?
Yeah. Still like it.
So can we talk about the marketing, though, for Season 2? Like, that poster with all the clones on it.
It was on point.
I love that poster. It was weird, and I love weird shit.
Not even that. It's just like the theming of this season and exploring. Like we were talking before, we just did a reacts for the Ahsoka trailer. You can watch that on YouTube. Them exploring these time frames that haven't really been explored previously in Star Wars is what's so interesting about what they're doing right now, both in live action and animation. That the idea of what are the ethical ramifications of decommissioning this clone army, not something you would think about as we go from the prequels and that, dumpster fire into the original trilogy with the stormtroopers. And just that is the plot thread of this season that I enjoyed the most. And I can't wait to see how that wraps up. As we know, we're recording this just after Star Wars Celebration, or I guess it wrapped up today, this past weekend.
Quite literally,
knowing that knowing Bad Batch Season 3 is the last season of this show. I don't think it's the last we've seen of these characters, but I do think it'll be interesting to see. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to spoil it yet. Have we gotten spoilers? I don't know where we're at.
That's right. Salacious B. Crumb. R.I.P.
All right, folks, we're going to go full
spoilers?
Spoilers for the show. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Come on back. It's not just the show. Full spoilers for all of Star Wars. Okay, let's talk about them killing my boy.
We didn't see a body. Like he's not dead. We didn't see a body.
He's dead.
He's not dead. We didn't see a body.
He's a clone. He's gonna be cloned again.
I would
they
not be
decommissioned the clones,
surprised.
remember?
Listen, I'm saying, who's the big
Yeah,
bad right
yeah,
now?
they decommissioned
It's
it,
a
but
clone.
those people are still testing the creation of clones, so it could still
What if-
happen.
Again,
if
Palpatine has to be cloned somehow, and Filoni is doing his damnedest to make the sequel trilogy good.
Okay, hear me out. This could be heartbreaking. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Never mind. Hear me out. They take Tech's DNA and they try to try to use him as a Palpatine clone, and he's just like, kill me. Like is like
He's
this-
like Snoke, like half of a Snoke.
right.
For
like,
any
like
other
the
series, I'd say that's way too dark. But for the way Bad Batch is going, I can see it.
and the fact that we get Crosshair kind of coming back to the Bad Batch at that time, and having to actually kill Tech would be messed up, but
I would also just like to throw out there that once again, my statement of "God damn it, Saw Gerrera" stands.
I mean, yeah.
I'm just calling it now. That is going to be just a blanket statement for all of Star Wars.
It's be merch. It's merch. You know?
God damn it, Saw Gerrera. Just black T-shirt with that in white letters.
Yeah.
Or just
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera, enough said. And just an explosion on the back of the shirt.
For real, if I was going to Star Wars Celebration, like the one that just happened, I would totally have printed that on a shirt and worn it.
You should do. I watched the Star Wars show, and all I saw was Guerrera.
This is the level of comedy you get from us fools.
Listen, this is marketing.
This is
marketing.
This is comedy?
Listen,
Yeah, shut up,
This is-
bitch.
now this
Alright.
is pod racing.
Well, it took us a total of 5 minutes and 56 seconds to finally mention pod racing, so I think that's a new record.
New record.
Now, let's talk about the actual little bits of the show a little bit here, just to give you know, the stats I try to remember to give. Show's good. Season 2. Obviously, it's one of Dave Filoni's babies. Literally just wrapped up a couple weeks ago. First episode airing on January 4th. I think there was like, what was it, 20-something episodes total?
16.
16?
Yeah. And well, it didn't feel like that many because we got a 2-episode premiere and we got a 2-episode finale, which I actually really like that release cadence of here's a bit extra because we know we want to hook you on this 30-minute show, and that drip feed every week, for the most part, kept me coming back.
Yeah, you love to play that game of at what point are they just going to go back to the Clone Wars episode structure of we're just telling stories in like a couple episode chunks. Because it works.
I mean, that's what they're doing with Mandalorian, it feels like.
Oh, yeah. No, I think to kind of talk about the actual show, like, obviously, there's this. I love the story of Omega in this one. Like, loving seeing Tech's relationships and actually seeing Tech be Tech. One of the highlights for me
Now-
was the Crosshair episodes.
Yeah.
Cross episode's really good. I want to say on the pod racing button.
I was wondering
listen,
when we get here.
it's not pod racing,
So close, though.
but one, it's close. Two, the fact that the showrunner said that they obviously reference episode 1 Racer. There's hope for us yet. I'm just saying there's hope for us yet.
Look.
Episode 1 Racer will come back as a remake, or better, we get more pod racing in the universe. Just back around pod racing, cool. You know, like
Stick with me on this one, all right? We need the Gran Turismo movie to be good. And then we need the execs over at Star Wars to see that movie and go, oh, that movie's good. That movie's making money. Let's do that in Star Wars. And behold,
No.
pod racing.
No, you know what? I have an idea, and I know it's been maybe back burner. They haven't talked about it in a bit. I forgot my train of thought. Who's the dude that was supposed to be directing the next Star Wars movie?
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. Taika Waititi's movie is a mockumentary style
Mockumentary.
series similar to F1 Drive to Survive, but instead of F1, it's pod racing.
I would love that.
That would be great.
See,
I'm at a point where I would even
be
love it
so
if they were
good.
just like, screw it. Fast and Furious, but pod
Listen.
racing. I will take anything
Work-
pod racing.
What is it about
Workplace
family?
comedy. No, it's a workplace comedy. Given
No,
pod racing, I will say up front, very problematic. Very problematic. I'm
Oh,
gonna
and
say
explore that.
we keep those traditions, but I'm saying let's just keep pod racing. Let's get rid of all that bad stuff.
It just
I
becomes a
mean the
dark comedy.
slavery and the
Yeah.
slave labor, all that. Yeah.
Well, here's what
Yeah,
you do, right?
yeah.
It's pod racing after the death of Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah,
It's Book of Boba Fett season 2. It's just about pod racing.
yeah, that would be better than anything they chose to do.
Book of Boba Fett season 2 is Boba Fett reinstating pod racing on Tatooine,
And the
making
plot
it a
twist is he
legitimate
becomes a
business.
racer.
It would be
No,
so
he would
funny.
sponsor a racer. That racer, Ezra Bridger.
Listen,
It all comes
if
together.
there's one thing if there's one thing we don't want the Book of Boba Fett team to do, it's racing. If you still remember how fast those Vespas were.
Well, those are Vespas. We're talking about pod racers here.
Listen, the one
That
guy
was as
was
close
on
as
the...
we've gotten to pod racing on Tatooine since Visions. All right.
You need to remind you of the Best Visions episode, Tatooine Rhapsody.
I'm legitimately
Somebody
gonna
say
go.
that.
Like, I want to
I would
rewatch
say
that, but
that.
I'm also rewatching Clone Wars, and I need to rewatch Rebels. There's just too much to rewatch. And then I started watching The Leftovers on HBO for the first time, and boy, howdy, is that a show!
Yeah.
Yeah, but seriously though, I was going back through the posters for like all of season 1 of Visions. Oh goddamn, there's some good content there. There's some great animation.
There's some great animation, some great stories, and especially because they don't have the weight of Star Wars, I think they kind of do whatever, and it's really nice. Anyway, so not a Vision thing. So
Look,
won't
I said we were
qualify
talking about it
this.
eventually as a joke, but here we are.
Yeah.
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 No, let's talk. Well, I guess there's kind of a few major storylines within the season. Let's start with the Crosshair stuff because I mentioned it and I want to talk about it because it's super cool.
Yeah, please.
Watching just Crosshair consistently be like, "Shit, I was wrong all of last season."
It's not
Now
even that
he's
he was wrong. It's just he realizes the clones are coming to their end, and they need to band together in a way that he didn't foresee when he made the decisions he did in season 1.
So what you're telling me is he was wrong.
I mean, that's just the plot of Star Wars: is people make mistakes and then planets
So
blow up.
what you're telling me is he's finding out that he fucked up, and now he's finding out.
Yeah,
Yeah, he fucked around.
that
and
is
found out.
essentially what we're saying.
I love how much of Star Wars though is just shoot. I messed up. You know, thousands of people are dead. Some planets are now gone. But I've seen the error of my ways.
Imagine
Doesn't
though,
make it any better.
I don't think that's very realistic, I gotta say, because people who've messed up just keep messing up. They just like, yep, I messed up and I can't go back.
No, it's not even that. They just double down. I never
Yeah.
messed up. What are you talking about?
Nope.
But now seeing some of the clones, seeing Cody for the first time in forever,
Yeah.
such a pop-off moment of like, oh my god, I missed you.
Forget that. The one that got me was Krennic. Did you-
Was in there?
Ben Mendelsohn
Yeah.
voiced Krennic in the episode where they're all like towards the end of the season where they're at that summit where they're talking to the doctor that's voiced by not Ben Foster but the other guy that looks like
No,
him in my
Jimmy
head.
Jimmy
Simpson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
They
what a
look the same
fucking
in my head.
Great villain. What a
Yeah.
fucking great villain. Oh my god, I want him in live action so bad.
Yeah, but yeah, like seeing Krennic come back for that, I'm like, oh, that is that it? And then I look at I'm like, oh yeah, it's Ben Mendelsohn. Let's go.
I missed that. Wow.
Dude,
Yeah.
the fact that we got the Advanced Science Division, like that's such a
Yeah.
great like antagonist group within the Empire for Bad Batch.
Especially at this time, right? With the idea of the transition from cloning to a conscripted army, it's just the machinations of war that are at play here, and these pivots, and Filoni weaving these stories that he didn't like. The amount of world building in here, it feels like the extended universe stuff that all got retconned out of Star Wars when Disney acquired Lucasfilm. Filoni saw that and was just like, nah, fuck you. We're doing it all again, but better. I'm like, all right, I'm here for it.
Yeah, it's a chance of
Well,
like,
not-
okay, awesome, we can work out the tweaks, make it amazing, and just say fuck you at the same time.
Well, and not only that, but like some of my favorite Star Wars stories are not only the ones that world build, but also the ones that have a theming around it and really feel like a standalone piece. Like if you watch this only, you would know like, okay, you know what's going on, and two, it's a deep story. Like the fact that what happens when you become obsolete, and not only when you become obsolete, but quote unquote like the clone racism that's happening in this entire mark is just like you work for something that's so like you work on building something and it's like they're like, okay, now once it's built, we don't want any part of you, which is like very topical, I will say. It has been,
Concerningly
unfortunately,
realistic.
Very topical. Yeah, exactly.
Star Wars is really good
I
at
will say
that.
we got
Yeah.
that mid-season where they dropped 2 episodes that focused exactly on that. We got episode 7 and 8, The Clone Conspiracy and Truth and Consequences, which focused on that senator trying to come up with a retirement plan for the clones. And someone who isn't really versed in Star Wars would watch that and be like, oh, it's that episode of Mando where they were on Coruscant and nothing happened. But it really, like, there's layers to this, and it's just
Consequences.
and the
consequences
truths. There were truths there too, right? Yeah.
Also giving
Yeah.
us like another amazing new character in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like what's her name? Senator quickly scrolling to try to find it.
Yep.
Senator Chuchi.
Yes.
I was gonna say patchouli, but I know that's not it.
I mean, you were close. No, seeing
Yeah.
Senator Chuchi having the story, and then her story does not end in those episodes. Seeing her come back talking with Rex and
Yeah.
like seeing all that, I love this. I love the
Bail
characters.
Organa in that. Just like, yes, please.
Yeah.
Like having another person in this kind of like. We always knew that there was a resistance within the council. We always knew that there were a bunch of senators that were against this, trying to do everything they could. Seeing that fleshed out a little bit more. Always
Well,
fun
and
to see.
seeing little bits like Andor kind of pop into these these Star Wars projects now. And the political intrigue that goes along with that is really cool, and just like peppering it through, I think is going to do a lot for like you said, the overall world building, and really like to see where this resistance started, and the lengths the Empire will go to. I mean, we saw in Andor how tyranny loses its grip. I'm paraphrasing this, but tyranny loses its grip when it's too tight. Like seeing that grip being tightened, not only in Andor but also in Bad Batch, like already that start of like, okay, we're we're starting this rebellion, we're starting to see the Empire really flesh itself out into the galaxy. Yes, Mitch.
2 things. One, Senator Chuchi, voiced by Jennifer Hale, fantastic job in the role. 2, totally forgot this character showed up in like a half dozen episodes of Clone Wars.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my bad.
That's all
Sorry,
our
I was just clicking through to find out who voiced the character. I'm like, that's not what she looked like in Bad Batch. Oh, I scroll. Oh yeah, there's the 10
Yeah.
episodes she appeared in Clone Wars.
Look, to be fair, to my credit,
Oh, and it was the first season, and I'm on season 3, so I just slept through those episodes in my rewatch.
okay, to my
so-
credit,
I skipped the first
again,
season.
season 1. Also, there's hundreds of episodes at this point of Clone Wars. Don't give me an
Yeah.
actual number. I do not want to feel bad, even worse than I already feel. But like, come on, there's a lot of Clone Wars.
Okay, 11 episodes. That's season 1, season 2,
Oh, you shut
season
up.
2.
Anyways, let's
season
talk about an
2,
actual new
season
character.
2, season 3, season 1, season 3, season 2, season 6. Oh, we're making progress. And season 6.
Oh, well, there we go.
I'm done now.
Let's talk about an actual new character, Fee Genoa, who just quickly became. I love this character so much. Like, pirates in general, always fun.
Unless they're in Mandalorian.
Pirates are still fun.
So say, still enjoyed the Pirates of Mandalorian, so.
I like the Pirates in Mandalorian, and if you don't like them in Mandalorian, let me tell you, you're gonna get ready, because Skeleton Crew is going to have them. So
Oh,
Or
I cannot wait
pirates.
for that show.
Is
Is that coming this year or next year?
Well, they said 2023. I don't think they gave a date, actually.
maybe this just goes back to like some of the anime I used to watch, but like
Yeah.
space pirates will always be cool to me.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really what Star Wars felt like. Like, looking at the
Yeah.
original trilogy, they were rebels, which technically makes them pirates.
I mean, by
Right, like they're-
definition, like Han Solo was a pirate.
Right.
Yeah, there's no firm release date, just scheduled for 2023.
But yeah, having Fee in here being both kind of a love interest to Tech, then also like a mentorship figure to Omega and a friend to Why can I not remember people's goddamn names today? Shoot, like the Hunter. There we go. The main,
Yeah.
the main leader of the crew.
The leader of the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Like having this character being here of like we see her in the first episode. It's like, oh, cool. Okay, fun. No, she keeps coming back. She keeps coming back. We have adventures to her. We casually create Star Wars Horizon Zero Dawn. We keep moving. And like having it eventually lead to this place that like, hey, you guys could possibly settle down here. Plot twist, no, you cannot.
Sorry to interject, but I went down another Wikipedia rabbit hole, which Griffin keeps telling me to close the internet when
I just told you to close Twitter.
And then I don't. But did you know that Jude Law's playing a Jedi in Skeleton Crew?
Yeah.
I did not until right now. And now I'm even more excited for this show. Please continue.
Did you know that Jude Law was in like 15 episodes of the Clone Wars and like 7 episodes of Rebels and like the original trilogy and like
No, but he will be in Peter Pan and Wendy, which we'll be talking about at the end of the month.
Yeah, we should probably watch that new trailer.
Do we have to?
I mean, we don't have to, but we should.
dun, 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 dun.
No. See, we either do that. See, I don't want to do that because we're also getting a trailer for the Marvels tomorrow, and I'd much rather talk about that.
Ah, true. Or we could talk about the Star Wars Visions trailer, or the Indiana Jones trailer, or the 1,000 other trailers Lucasfilm seemed to put out this week.
But right now, we're talking Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
Bringing it back around.
No, I want to talk about the.
I'm great.
I want to talk about the Horizon Zero Dawn episode, which is not actually Horizon Zero Dawn. It's just if you give me a character that looks even suspiciously like a tall neck, I'm gonna start referencing Horizon.
Well,
Fair.
speaking of like giant creatures, we get the why did I drop the? We get the Zepho Beast is what I'm trying to say. We get the reintroduction of a Zepho Beast. Like that's so cool, and like to call back to season 2 of Clone Wars, and like this not only that, but like this mysterious reason that they would have like literally they don't kill the Zepho Beast in season 2. Emperor
You mean the
Palpatine
Zillo Beast, right?
Zephos, Zephos the alien race, Zillo Beast. They don't kill the Zillo Beast in season 2, if you remember. They take it, like, and the fact that this like we saw the kind of the at the end of it, I'm sure, but like the
end of its
consequences
importance
of what happened, like what are they experimenting, trying to get like these weapons of mass destruction, like and like using the Zillo Beast, and
we had nukes. Star Wars has electric lizards. Tomato, potato, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we all saw how it goes when you experiment with electric beings in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Okay?
I thought you were going to say Mega Man NT Warrior, in which case I was going to be very happy with you.
Why in the hell did you think I would reference Mega Man NT Warrior?
Streaming on Capcom's channel. I don't know if it still is, but that was streaming on Capcom's channel.
I didn't find out about that until it was almost over, and I almost cried.
It's also on Capcom's YouTube channel, I think, right now.
That might be region locked. A lot of that stuff usually is.
I was able to watch it.
Yeah, but you live in the U.S. That's what I'm saying. Is a lot of that stuff. Like I can't watch John Oliver on YouTube.
And that's why we brought you today to ExpressVPN.
NordVPN. No, I use NordVPN. Not sponsored, but
How about this? Just use a VPN.
You can watch Surfshark VPN on Disney Plus. And
also sponsored by Evil Dead Rise for some reason.
What, you mean the movie that's sponsoring like everybody right now?
Yeah, they really want people to see that movie.
Every time I see that creepy ass poster,
and I showed it to my wife without telling what it was, and then she was not happy.
Referencing my a favorite, not Disney character, but Disney adjacent character. Got it monetized.
What? That was not bad.
Can I go to bed now?
I'm not gonna lie, that was not bad.
I'm Twitter.
Wasn't great.
I'm gonna clip that one out. Put it on Axel.
Oh, do you want me to do the bit? I'll do the clip.
Give me the clip.
Ready?
Give me the bit.
Got it monetized. Right? That's pretty good.
Yeah, you
That's
nailed it.
Pretty good.
Mitch
That's
is so
pretty
sick
good.
of this right now.
Sorry for the old guy in the room. What are we referencing?
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, okay.
Got it memorized.
Oh, yeah. See, it's been a while since I played those games.
Yeah.
Listen, it's time for a replay because
Oh, I don't have time
Kingdom Hearts
because
4 is coming
New
out.
Strange True Colors is coming off of Game Pass this week, and I got to finish it.
Oh, yes, finish that. I wanna know what you
it's
think.
very quick. It's
I
very
am
quick.
I'm about halfway through chapter 3, and I'm at the LARPing.
Is
and I'm
the
very
DLC
happy.
also on Game Pass?
No.
Okay. You might want to pick up the DLC because it's worth it.
But you might want to binge it. You might want to binge Kingdom Hearts because there's Star Wars possibly coming. And guess what we're talking about today? It's Star Wars.
Dude, no one expected us to stay on track with this damn episode.
I mean, I'm excited for Star Wars and Kingdom Hearts. So I get to fly the Millennium Falcon. No, I get to do that when I go to Disney World this summer, bitches.
You get to fly the gummy.
Yeah, well,
Falcon.
hey, Mitch, you want to know what I get to do? I get to go to
You get to go to Rogers the Musical, you
Roger
piece
the
of
Musical.
shit.
That's the worst part of Hawkeye.
That's the best part.
One
What are
of
you
the
talking
best
about?
parts of Hawkeye.
Anyway.
I disagree. Anyways.
Well, I get to see Happily Ever After, so suck it.
I have YouTube for that.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much to talk about this season that we just aren't.
You want? Yeah, I was just saying.
Omega, let's talk about Omega.
We have Parks content on this channel now too. Just FYI.
We'll do that soon. Let's talk about Omega though, for seriousness, because I love
Well,
Omega's
Omega.
story.
We'll time code this as the sponsored segment. That
Where we
everyone
were
skips.
sponsored by Evil Dead Rise, Kingdom Hearts,
This is just a corporate shill segment.
Nord, and
Yeah.
ExpressVPNs.
No, let's talk about Omega and Omega's story in this because I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Like we got to
Yeah,
see Omega
the
actually be
growth
a
from this
goddamn
character.
kid.
Yeah, the growth from this is like from season 1 to season 2. She's practically a different character.
I love seeing her like deal. Like we actually saw this character like deal with loss, deal with grief, and then when she finally seems to have gotten a grasp on it and gone back to being this happy kid, she loses Tech.
Oh my god, that episode with her and Tech where they're like pulling the explosive goo out of the wall or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. Like that whole thing of them growing closer and like I'm just like, oh, this is great. And now in hindsight, I'm like, oh fuck, that was there to make us care, and I care a lot.
I'm
Oh,
kind of
that
mad at
feels-
this. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of mad at this show for killing off Tech. Because guess who my favorite character
Again.
was?
We didn't see a body. Remember when Echo died in like
Mitch, for
season
God's
3 of
sake, we
Clone
can't
Wars?
do this every 5 minutes. Let's just assume he's dead.
Echo died in season 3, I think, of Clone Wars.
Still, I devil's advocate at the moment. He's dead. So it does build that oh shit. Like I think but if he's not back by the end of the season, which he isn't, like then it's like maybe
But it's hinted at because they're like, oh, the only thing we could recover were the goggles. That is not. There's no way that they found those goggles, didn't find him, and take him to experiment on him in some way.
Look at this
So
point.
he's still around.
But see,
in
is
what
that
capacity,
living?
we don't know.
Is
Well,
that
we don't
living
know.
though? It's the quality of life, right? Like it's the if he's being experimented on and he's not Tech anymore, right? Like
I really didn't think that was the way you were going. I thought that you were going to say.
driver's license. Like, did he have do not resuscitate there when they pulled him into the lab? You know what I'm saying?
I really thought you were going to say that they were experimenting on a corpse.
they might listen.
Look,
Star Wars zombies are a thing.
true. Well, at the moment we
Necessarily in
Are they
canon.
going to cross over with Marvel zombies? We know we're getting that show.
have Schrodinger's clone. He is both
Yeah.
dead
Yeah.
and not dead at the moment.
Which means season 3, we get punished Omega, and she's gonna kick some ass.
No, but like legit, that's the thing I'm most excited for, which is kind of messed
Yeah.
up. But it is like seeing how Omega deals with this, because like Omega's the heart of the show. We all know that.
Yeah.
Like she's the kid with a bunch of like,
What?
ex-military guys.
What happens when you break that heart?
What happens when you take away that youthful or that like that ignorance is bliss mentality of this kid is like, yeah, I get to trance across the universe with these guys that are sort of my brothers in DNA, but really they're like dads, and this whole family dynamic, which is really weird, but not because it's like 5 characters played by 2 actors, which is different, but it still
That being
works.
said, we don't exactly leave off with Omega still in a good place.
No.
Oh, I would tell you Omega's in a
So-
terrible place. Also, this whole
Yeah.
sister thing is extremely concerning.
True. And interesting though. Very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, oh shit, like she's not the first one. Like
See, I
like
wasn't.
that-
I'm
that
not
kind
sure
of
if it's
idea.
that or if they needed extra DNA to make Omega female instead of a male clone.
But what do they need her for? I guess
That is the
what
ultimate question.
That's
Well, and what
it's,
do they
it's-
need?
it's the
What do
same
they
thing.
need? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just saying
No,
it's the
go
same thing with Baby Yoda, or Grogu. Where why do they need him so much? Obviously, they need him because he's Yoda species and he has the Force. But like we don't really know what Mega's part is in that. Like, honestly, we've seen the fact that they probably weren't successful in capturing Omega because they're still looking for cloning stuff. Well, by the time we get to Mandalorian, so they weren't successful in making that that Palpatine clone that they wanted to do.
But
or,
even then, they could be, because it could be that Grogu is very specifically for making a clone that is Force sensitive. Like, that is a very specific thing. Also, if the answer to why Grogu is so important is just metachlorians, I'm gonna die.
You know it is.
It's going to be funny when it is, but they make it be about midichlorians in a way that makes you care.
That is what I'm excited about.
Yeah,
my
they're gonna do that,
most
aren't they?
hated thing, my most hated thing in Star Wars is the midichlorians. I think it just ruins the whole wizardry of Star Wars. That being said, I think there's a way you could turn it on its head.
If they can't make midichlorians cool when they're getting goddamn Liam fucking Neeson talking about, I don't know what they can do to turn it around.
I disagree. I disagree.
I'm broken.
I disagree. I disagree, Gary. I disagree.
I don't know why, but immediately every time I hear the word midichlorians, my brain instantly goes powerhouse of the cell, and I know that's mitochondria, but it's just every time
You
it's an
probably
instinct.
learned them around the same time, so it's just ingrained in your like, deep
But I just
tissue.
I love the idea. Just midichlorian powerhouse of the cell.
Okay, so bringing it back to Bad Batch, I'm curious to find out more about this older female clone of why is she working with the bad guys, and like what is the story there, and I want to see more of that explored, hopefully in the first few episodes of the next season. But again, if we're getting this, week by week serialized approach to, or like story of the week approach to Bad Batch, I don't know how cohesive the overall end-to-end plot thread is going to look for season 3. I do hope it's a little more structured just because they are wrapping this show, but knowing Filoni, it's going to be balls to the wall all over the place.
Yeah, they're about to go
Well,
from 0
and-
to 100.
And because the show is ending doesn't mean this is the end of the characters either necessarily.
I mean, we do know that Rex at least makes it through to something. When did we see Rebels?
Well,
yeah,
actually,
so-
past that to Return of the Jedi at the
Oh
very
yeah,
least.
true.
that's
Because
right.
he's
Yeah, he's
technically
in-
that character. Yeah. So I think like what's interesting to me is having this sister character, and like you said, like you asked, the fact that why is she working with the bad guys, and I think it's very much the same thing. It's a power thing. She's not wanting to work with them, but because they have something that she wants, or she's trying to get something. I think she is the goal. Like her ultimate goal is getting Omega out of there, or
Hopefully.
like, or finding this way. Because like you see when she gets attacked by Crosshair, and she's like, "Hey, like I can get you out of here. Like you don't have to do this. Like, or you shouldn't do this. Like." And we're gonna. I think in the next season we're gonna see her really stand up and be like, okay, like let's get out of here. Like, and she may have dubious intentions in some way, but in a way of like for science. I think that's the vibe that she gives me.
See, I'm
But
getting
at
a
the same
slightly
time,
different vibe of it's like I feel like she wants out, but she's just
Yeah.
kind of accepted that resistance is futile at this point.
Yes.
And Omega is going to do that thing that Omega has managed to do to every single character that she's come in contact
She's
with.
gonna
And she's going to
back to
inspire her.
Kingdom Hearts. She's gonna soar the fuck out of her.
She's going to show her the power of friendship.
Yep.
She's gonna get her to believe in the heart of the cards. No shit,
Yep.
that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
Close enough.
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's all the light.
It's all anime.
But I'm really excited for these characters. It's so cool. I'm also really curious how Nala Se is going to play into this as well. Like,
Yeah.
Omega does have a familial relationship with Nala Se in a way that the other clones just don't.
Yeah. I am curious to see how long it takes them to reunite. Like, is this going to be the entire, like, are we going to get a whole batch of separate Omega episodes to the core Bad Batch episodes that's going to culminate either mid-season or end of season in that, reunion special that lends itself to at least Hunter dying, if not more of the clones? It'll be interesting to see how they want to tell that story, because it has been very fragmented, I guess is a good word, where we've been jumping around to these different plot threads throughout, or these different perspectives, like seeing the episodes on Crosshair, seeing the episodes focused on the Senate. Like, I'm curious how long it takes them to bring the characters back together, because the heart of this show is that relationship. So to see it, like, let's say we don't see it culminate until the end of the season, it's going to be kind of disappointing for me, at least as a fan, to see, 10, 12, 15 episodes, whatever it is, of them apart, to only eventually reunite them when some proverbial shit hits the fan.
Yeah, I think when with those episodes, what they're going to do is very much focus on the character building. They may be standalone episodes, but in the overall picture of everything, with what they do for the characters, like we said before in the where they were mining, that is such a character building episode. Even though it's like a creature of the week episode, it is a character building episode. I think we're gonna have a lot of that, even like to play with the fact that, okay, like we might be doing something that's kind of seems offbeat, but at the same time, this is important to where we get the end. This is like we had with this season. It's important to building that tech story to make you care so much about it when he dies at the end. I think that's going to be really important.
Yeah.
It's kind of that idea that like filler content does not exist.
Right.
Where it's like everything about Bad Batch, this is one of its massive strengths to me at least, is everything exists for a reason.
Yeah.
That reason may not be apparent. It may not be the most important reason, but it is a reason nonetheless. Like, we have that opening episode, and like a large point of that episode is just get you back into things, to be like, oh, we'll get you back into it. We'll have this massive story with like referencing back to Count Dooku being a dick, like going in, we'll introduce you to Phee, and like it has its reasons there, but like ultimately the story of Count Dooku stuff doesn't necessarily seem super important until like 7 episodes later, when you learn, oh, we can't do the same ways because of what we did at Sereno trying to steal Count Dooku's shit. Like, I love that they're able to do stuff like that. At the same time, that is a little bit of a weakness to me of the show, is like how it flirts that line with serialized shows and not. Of like, you're so close to being exactly what I want you to be, which is I want it to be a serialized show. I want everything to connect back to this plot in a particular way and have that amazing thing, like shows like the Owl House. Shout out, it just finished. I had to shout it out at some point. I'm so sad that show's over. I don't know. I'm really interested in to see how they do that though in a 3rd season, which is having to wrap all this stuff up, right? It's like,
well,
this was Act 2.
Look what Filoni did with the Clone Wars too. Like most of those episodes are totally like, for the most part, are totally just filler and just another episode of like the Clone Wars. But by the end, you get this basic like movie for the ending of the Clone Wars, and it's like some of the most powerful Clone Wars experience. And I think that's the most of experience with the animated shows so far, is the fact that we do get a lot of these like filler episodes, but they kind of try to focus on some character building at the very least. And when they don't, that's when it's disappointed. When nothing truly happens and it feels just like a throwaway episode, that's when it's a bummer. But when they actively build the story that they're trying to tell, I think that's when it makes it more powerful. And the fact that we remember those episodes alongside the episodes that have, you know, your Siege of Mandalores, your the Power of Three sort of episode of Clone Wars, you know, like that.
I mean, I
I
think
think
the
that
most
that's
talked about
strength.
story in Clone Wars is still the Umbara arc,
Right.
which does
mean-
not matter.
Right.
I mean, even just tying that all back into this show, like the one-off, or not one-off, but like getting a clone mentioned a few times by name, having this big battle in season 3, and seeing this clone presumably blown to smithereens. That clone ends up being Echo. There's this whole plot to recover Echo from this genetical, like all this crazy weird shit that was happening. And then having him be a core part of this show and this story just goes to show, like, Filoni knows how to take these threads,
I mean,
hint at them in the smallest of details at one point or another, and it becomes significant plot in some other tiny or far off corner of the Star Wars universe. There's just such a scope and scale to Star Wars that just is unmatched in modern.
I mean, even in that story,
Storytelling.
that was wasn't that the story where Clone Force 99 was introduced?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were introduced
you're
in
right.
Clone Wars.
They were introduced in the last season of Clone Wars as sort of a backdoor pilot, and I think it was that episode of Clone Wars where they recovered Echo,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then Echo left with Bad Batch.
I think the show does a really good job of recapturing that magic of the Clone Wars show. It doesn't do it in the same way, though. I think it does it in its
Yeah.
own unique way, because it is, like, Clone Wars was fun, but it was like, okay, it's either going to be an Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, Padme, Anakin story, or it's going to be a clone story. This is, hey, we're going to center on these characters. And then casually talk about all the clones for an episode, too. Then back to these characters.
Yeah, I much prefer the central stories. Like that, it makes it so that even when we have these filler episodes, they are meaningful because you're following the same crowd. I think what I don't like about Clone Wars that much is the fact that we do jump around, which does fill out the Republic at the time and the Jedi at the time. And that feeling, but it doesn't do much for the individual characters, as much as like the standalone episodes do, or the 3 episode arcs do with, you know, like stuff like the Mandalore stuff and like the power of 3. Like I said before, like I think that those are the strongest arcs in Clone Wars because they are focused on the character building and the storytelling and. I think when you have things like Rebels and you have things like Bad Batch, where you're following this one specific crew, or at least even just like any sort of side story that you're going to get is directly related to what's happening with the crew. I think I like the fact that we're doing more of these rather than more of what the Clone Wars did.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
on that
also
point,
seeing that
like,
in live action as well, right? Mandalorian has been a lot of that this season, of telling these stories not directly related to Din and Grogu's journey, but eventually those ties do come back. We saw that happen with that Coruscant episode that we all thought was like, all right, we're getting an episode of Andor as part of Mando. That's neat, I guess, but how does it relate? And they're making it matter in a similar fashion to what Filoni did in animation, which is a lot harder to pull off in live action, which is why I think there's some, you know, concern with this season of Mandalorian, but ultimately it's the same kind of storytelling, just in a different format.
bringing up an interesting thing with Andor, I feel like you would really feel like Andor showed that Star Wars can go back to being a little bit more adult, a little more political, and I feel like we really saw that in this season. Like,
Yeah,
partially with
for sure.
the senator stuff, but like really seeing some of the issues that they fight. Whether it is retirement, whether it's the clones decommissioning, whether it's literally like just their dealings with Sid, like the ultimate betrayal of Sid at the end of this season.
We haven't even mentioned that. All I want to think is, wow, they have a government that's actually going to fight for them to get pensions. Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah. Or have clean water, in general.
Oh, that's good.
Sometimes.
Wait, are you still without clean water, or are you back to having clean water?
I mean, I have clean water now.
Okay,
For now.
that's good.
I'm saying all of us.
Not
I'm
everyone
saying
does. Yeah.
all of us.
If only.
But anyways, yeah, like I think that having I've dropped my point. Dropped it.
Plot
Go
thread.
ahead.
Sorry, I started talking about pension.
No, you're good. Oh, having Sid be like finally like come around and be like, oh, I messed up. These guys are in a real tight spot, and I totally called the cops on them. And you know as sure as well as I do, they're probably gonna have to work with Sid to get begrudgingly
absolutely.
to get Omega back, and to like have that like disdain to be like, you sold us out, you like, you don't really care about us.
I
Like,
want to watch the guilt eat away at Sid so badly.
yeah. Well, and okay, so I know what I was trying to say. The going back to the idea, like George Lucas said, I think on the Conan O'Brien show, I think it was the Tonight Show at that point, but him talking about the fact that he wanted the Clone Wars to be like a PG-13 show, like, but still be this like animated show. Given first season, I would say is a lot less PG-13. But like later on, you do get those darker and heavier tones. And I feel like this definitely felt that that tone that he wanted. And it really, but you alongside episodes that are very much like a kid could watch this and totally understand. I mean, not to say that a kid couldn't watch any of it and understand, but like there's definitely some darker themes, and
That's the great thing about it is
in a meaningful way.
It takes those themes and it shows them in a way where kids can understand it.
Yeah.
And you can learn from this. I mean, like, for me, it's one of those things where, like, especially when it comes to Disney content, which is all we talk about here. Some of the best content
TBD.
at the moment is all we talk about here. Until we inevitably make the not D plus us show.
As we do.
The best content that Disney typically puts out is the stuff that is entertaining, but is also educational.
Yeah.
Like,
It
I
is
will always
thoughtful.
refer back to Clone Wars, where Clone Wars is the show that says not to trust your government.
I mean, they weren't wrong.
And they were right. Like, it's showing these really important messages in a fantastic way. And it's just that beautiful power of media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be able to tackle that, and like, I think a lot of animated shows, even still, treat the kid audience as just, always preschool, always like needs this lighthearted tone to it. When I think in like recent years, we've really gotten things, even less recent years. You look at things like the start of like Samurai Jack, a very like I would say PG-13 show on a kids network on prime time, like very much had this sway of, okay, like we're gonna tell this adult story and adults are going to like it as well, but I think like, kids are going to have a good time with it. And to run that fine line, to have speak on important things, and to also have these lessons, but also have fun with it, and have like cool animation and cool, like greatly designed characters. I mean, for God's sakes, now we have things like Bluey, where like Bluey is a preschooler show, but you can, if you're watching this as an adult, you can get just as much out of it as a kid. Like, that is incredible. And I think we do better to get more shows like that, bringing it around to Star Wars, like Bad Batch, and tackle these difficult subjects, because they are, like, it is a part of the world. Whether or not you're a kid or not, you do need to understand that this is something that, happens, and be able to learn from that at a young age really sets you up for success going forward. So yeah, I think like things like this. I'm not saying that Bad Batch directly does this, but like it definitely does some of this
to some degree. I think the best.
What I'm hearing is that you're directly comparing a show and animation that involves talk of pension relief for cloned troopers to a kid's show about a talking blue dog.
Okay, you know what,
Listen,
Mitch? I'm
You're
gonna
very much distilling Bluey.
look. Here's the thing.
I don't have kids. I know Bluey is that
Neither
blue
do
dog that we
I.
bought toys of for our friend's kid. That's
Neither
all
do I,
know.
Mitch.
Watch,
Mitch,
listen,
watch Bluey.
watch Bluey. It will
Really?
bring you to tears.
Mitch, I have bawled my
Literally,
eyes out in so
watch
many
Bluey's.
episodes.
Watch Bluey. I 100% watch Bluey. Not the,
Okay.
besides the fact I'm wearing a cardigan based on a
Based on one of-
preschool TV show. But watch
Is that
Bluey.
a Blue's Clues cardigan that you're wearing?
No, it's a Bluey cardigan. No.
No, it's absolutely
It's a
Blue's
Blue's
Clues. No, I think we touched on something interesting here about like a lot of the best animated shows have something to say.
Mhm.
Like that's how you get these cult following stuff like Bluey, like Owl House, like
You had to
Amphibia.
bring up
like-
Owl House again.
well, look, it's on the forefront of my mind, but it does very much have something to
Alright.
say.
I could watch that show.
You really should. We're going to do an episode about it. I'm going to make you watch that entire show.
I've watched like 2 episodes. Let me finish Clone Wars and Bad Batch and The Leftovers.
I'm just going to kind of
And-
casually just say a nope and put it in front of all of that.
I mean, you can. You call an audible and I'll pivot.
Mitch, we're
Like,
recording
tell
the
me
Owl
what I'm
House
doing,
episode
I'm
next
doing.
week. Good luck.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, I totally forgot we were recording this episode tonight, and I got a text from you like 45 minutes before we started. I'm like, oh, I'm asleep. So yeah, let's
I
go.
texted you that
Like,
from
It's
my
been a great
bed.
podcast. It's been a great podcast.
But no, like these shows that are very much like it's like that, like the classic Disney formula of, hey, let's take something that's really important, really adult, boil it down to its basic roots, make a story for everybody. It's the stuff that does really well. And Star Wars has the ability to do that.
Well, and not only the fact that like and we were talking about Bluey earlier, but like really like it goes you can go back to shows that we grew up with and look at them and be like, oh, like you can tell the ones that hold up and the ones that are like, oh, they were of a time, because the ones that hold up are the ones that are for adults and kids and really respect both audiences. Respect the, like, you can respect if you can respect the audience of a child while also like running that fine line of like, okay, we don't really want to talk about this like directly, but we can do it in a very meaningful way through themes. I think those are the things that hold up better too.
Yeah, I recently went back to like kind of look at some of those old shows, right? And a lot of the ones that hold up are very particularly like Disney stuff.
Mhm.
Like, imagine my surprise that Wizards of Waverly Place still holds up very well. Am I watching that because of that podcast? Yes, I am.
I don't know if very well, but it definitely holds up.
Surprisingly well with some of the lines. Like,
Surprisingly well,
I feel like
I will give you.
there's an entire storyline, and mind you that they weren't able to go entirely into it
Right.
because Disney was the way they were back then. But there's an entire storyline about being gay that they were just able to do, and like weren't able to fully do it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They had to do it in that way of it is, but it isn't, but it really is. And like the showrunner has said that it was that way.
Right.
Like we all know the story we were telling there.
I don't know if I would stop at like was like that. They still kind of are like that.
They still
to
kind
be
of are
fair.
like, look, they get a lot of credit for having Owl House exist. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like one of the big shows for me like that is Steven Universe. Of this is an
Absolutely.
inherently kiddie show. Like
Yeah.
just looking at the palette that animation uses, and you know that this is created for a younger audience. That is one of the most heartbreaking, soul-wrenching shows I have ever seen.
That's one of my favorite shows, period. Like, I love that show because it does so much for both audiences and
Yeah.
does have that silly kid, and like especially for people like me who have that silly kid energy, like have that still in me to also
You
have something that
know.
no, not at all. I didn't pick up, I'm sure.
Look, people are 53 minutes into listening to a Disney podcast. We all got that energy.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
wrong.
You knew my Salacious Crumb voice. Anyways, yeah, like the fact that can be as silly and goofy as it is, but also tackle these very important things and tackle them head on. Like we're not talking about episodes where we talk about, oh well, someone may or may not be gay. Like straight up, there's gay relationships in there. I still quote the fact, day-to-day life, if every pork chop were perfect, they wouldn't have hot dogs. It's such a fucking great lesson. I love that show so much. I could talk about Steven Universe forever, but
Also, like, let's be honest here with Steven Universe. Like, maybe a quarter of the cast is straight.
yeah, which is amazing.
Oh, man. I'm trying to decide if I want to rewatch that show right now. And the only
You
thing
need to.
about... Well, here's the thing about deciding to want to rewatch it. I have to decide whether or not my mental health is in a good enough spot that it will survive me watching Steven Universe.
Honestly, it got me through 2020.
Same, but I just rewatched the movie and it fucked me up. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
true. Yeah. Just don't watch the movie then. Till you're ready.
You know the movie's only a fraction of what that show does.
Yeah.
Now, bringing it back to Star Wars. To kind of actually get to the point I was trying to make, I really hope season 3 goes for that.
Yeah.
I think they've seen that people have liked the more adult nature of season 2. And they have a story that they clearly want to tell in season 3. And I think they're going to go that route. And that makes me super excited for the show. Like,
Well,
I didn't
if you
expect between Mando and Bad Batch to be like, Bad Batch is this awesome, really cool, like, darker story to be telling.
Well, if you kind of look at the track record too, like you look at Rebels, like that was the darker season. Not to say that we didn't have dark seasons, but that was like a darker, more meaningful season than the rest. You look at the end of Clone Wars, even though they had those episodes that were kind of off the beaten path, or a backdoor pilot to Bad Batch, like that end 3 episodes is some of the best Star Wars we've ever had, and goes so great with a companion piece of Episode 3. You look at even Tales, not to say that this is last season, but like things like the Tales from the Jedi, which just announced for season 2, and to see that, like how they explore Count Dooku and the fact that like he was manipulated, and he saw the error of the ways of the Jedi, but he was manipulated because he was in this in-between state, like making us care about those characters and recontextualizing things. I think is something that Star Wars does so well. That's why the prequels are as great as they are. That's why eventually the sequels will be as great as they will be. Like as great as the prequels. I think that the ability to say, oh, like that changes my entire thought process of these characters that I've known for decades at this point, is a really strong point in Star Wars, which is why I stick around, I think, a lot.
I think it's why most of us stick around, to be honest. We get there's a weird, I want to say almost cult-like fandom when it comes to a lot of the stuff that we like, especially the House of Mouse stuff. You look at anything Disney.
Oh,
Star
Disney fandom is
Wars.
a religion.
Yeah,
Disney
Marvel
adults.
is getting to that point. It's just we are willing to put ourselves through more than most when it comes to the real bad stuff. I will remind you, a Kraven the Hunter movie is releasing later this year. We put up with that to get to the good. And sometimes it's good like Andor, and sometimes it's good like Bad Batch season 2. Almost to that same level of good.
Listen, if it's not good, we can meme it to death. Look at Morbius.
Look at pod racing.
I was going to look at the entire prequel trilogy.
Nick's about to leave.
Nope. Well, it has been fun.
I only came back because I
he
knew.
leaves.
I only came back because I knew it would screw up Griffin's settings.
Joke's on you. I had
Oh,
it
did
ready.
for a second. It was great. It was perfect.
I had it
Both
ready
saw
in
it
case.
coming a mile away. We both went for the jab at the prequels, and we both expected you to drop immediately.
You were my brother. You were sent to destroy the Sith. Not join them.
The lightsaber. Such a great.
Give me your
visual gag.
legs. Give me your legs. Here you go. Give me your legs. Give me your legs.
No, I think that's the thing that makes this show fun to record, right? It's like, this stuff means something to people. And this stuff tells really awesome freaking stories, which is something we desperately need.
Most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. You get your Obi-Wans occasionally.
you get most of season 3 of Mando.
Yeah.
You get Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But then you get Tatooine Rhapsody and you forget all about it.
Then you get Andor. Like, I mean, y'all go back
That's
and like
a lot.
listen to those old Andor episodes. Like, you watched
We
our
were so
faith in
happy.
Star Wars like revive.
And
That's
then we
probably
got this.
single-handedly revived my love for Star Wars.
Because it was a story we weren't used to seeing in this universe. It was dark, it was gritty, and maybe that's just we've gotten to a point where that's the kind of story we want from our space opera cowboy western.
The fact that Andor exists takes the latest episode of Mando from well, that's it. That's all I'm gonna watch. To, well, it's just another episode, I guess.
Yeah, we can move on. Yeah, I think the thing about Andor is like it does that great thing of like fills the love of Star Wars for me. Like the hypest thing for me at Star Wars Celebration recently was their opening montage that was set to a monologue from Andor.
The great goddamn monologue.
Like I love Star Wars, and I never really said I absolutely love Star Wars until Andor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been our monologue about why Andor is amazing and you should watch Andor.
We could just take this VO and convert it into a video essay, and you'd be look at those numbers.
Oh yeah,
Got it
just do a little
monetized.
just do a little bit of editing here and there. Actually monetize content for once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The shorts is gonna pop off. Let me tell you, the shorts go places.
Yeah, if shorts only okay, YouTube shorts.
They can be monetized.
They can be
now.
monetized. It pisses me off that you can only go for a minute.
Yeah.
When
Well,
especially
we'll
because a
get
lot of our
there.
TikToks are like a minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah.
A minute and 20 seconds. Like
Yeah.
give
Oh,
us
I know.
the 3 minutes. Please,
think-
YouTube.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like there's so many of our stupid TikToks that I can't post because they're too long.
Yeah.
That's because we have so much to tell.
But you know which one I was able to post on YouTube? I was able to post the Mitch looks like Jack Black TikTok.
Which was followed that following Wednesday by that goddamn Mando episode with Jack Black. You see it, right, Nick? Like it exists.
Like I don't know if you've heard, but I've become clairvoyant.
I don't know. I don't see it with Mitch.
Look, I don't see it either, but alas. I feel like we should wrap up this episode. We've really stalled on talking about Star Wars.
So you think I'm
Ready?
stalling? Oh,
Nick, if people want to keep up with you, where can people find you?
you can find me everywhere at Shaka McPain. That's SHOTGUN. Sorry, stop there for a second. MCPAYNE.
Links in the descriptions. He didn't have to spell all that
yeah.
out for you. I don't know why he did.
You can find me over at Twitter for who knows how long. You can find me over at Twitch. I don't stream anymore, but you can find me there. Yeah, you can find
You
me.
can find him on the MySpaces and the
Yeah, I'm sure
Foursquares.
my MySpace is out there maybe at some point, unless they like mass deleted it. You can see a 6th grade picture of me, which actually don't do that. Actually, you know what? That came out of my don't do that. And of course, you can find me editing things over at youtube.com/Norza. That's NORZR. You know what?
Another one where the link is in the description.
This link is in the description. I'm tired, y'all.
Yeah,
It's late.
It's late for you guys. It's late for me too, actually. Nah, folks.
Which means that's late, which means there's bright suns ahead of us.
well
Nailed
done.
it.
Well done. I'm
Nailed
sure my
it.
neighbor is not
Got it
happy at me.
monetized. Listen, I'm your moneymaker right here.
Mitch, where can people find us if they want to keep up with us?
At D plus us on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, anywhere you can find stuff at D plus us. Griffin at GriffyDpad, GRIFFIDPAD, at Mr. Mitch George, links at MitchGeorge.com.
Yeah, and keep an eye out on our other episodes. We will have an episode coming up at some point. I don't know what the release cadence of all of this is, so sorry, folks. We're going to have an episode up about all the announcements of Star Wars Celebration. We had a really, really actually great episode about the annual shareholder meeting and talking less about the shareholder meeting and more about the current state of the United States and when it applies to both Disney and also us. It sucks here.
And Florida. Lots of Florida.
I hate Florida so much. Go check that out if you are mentally able to handle that. If not, totally understand. Also, don't go over there to leave hate comments. Please don't do that. Don't be a dick. But go check out our other stuff. TikTok is great for our clip outs, as long as it is still around. So go check that out as well. We will see you all in the next episode. But until then, bright suns and have a magical day.